Welcome back to First Available, the podcast where we talk all things disc golf. This is episode number 11, airing on April 22nd. It's going to be coming out a little bit later in the day than usual. I had a pretty busy day, but it'll be a quick episode. And I know I say that all the time. I was actually talking to Ross earlier about how short of an episode it'll be because I'll mostly be just talking about the pro event from over the weekend, the Music City Open in Nashville. But with this being late in the day and everything going on, I'm targeting this one to hopefully be around 30 minutes or so. We'll talk about the results, about the incident that happened over the weekend at the Music City Open, and I don't have much going on personally wise on the channel, but we'll recap anything that we can. So let's dig right into it and talk first about the Music City Open, hosted by, Lonestar Discs, I believe this time, right? The Music City Open presented by Lonestar Discs, Nashville, Tennessee. Always a great one. I was really looking forward to this one because Simon won it last year as his first big win since coming over to MVP. If you know me, you know I'm an MVP fan. And Kristen Tatar won last year. So a little bit of deja vu, not to spoil it because we'll go over actual scores and stuff here in just a second. But let's go over FPO first. It was a really good weekend. I thought that finally Holland Hanley might make my predictions come true on getting her first Elite Series win. But it just was not meant to be. She shot great, as you can see here if you're following along on the video. If not, I'll go over the scores. But round one, she came out and shot a 60, which I believe was the hot round. Yeah, she shot the hot round on the first day. Followed it up with a 64, so she gave up a few strokes. And then round three, just 68. So it just seems like when it comes down to the final day that she might be struggling. I don't know why. I do watch these events, especially this one I watched from start to finish, all three rounds. I didn't see anything. Well, actually, it was her putting on day three. She missed a few putts that are uncharacteristic for her to miss, and ones that you have to make, those mid to shallow circle one putts. I know one was downhill, so it was a little bit intimidating. But yeah, it would be nice to see her finally take home a win. But Kristen Tatar just played really good on Sunday. She went 64, 60, and 60 to finish at 13 under. And this is, I noted, I say this like every time I go over the scores, but you got Kristen Tatar who shoots 13 under and gets a 999 rating. And then Holland Hanley shoots 9 under for a 975 rating. And then the next closest player shoots even. And that's the problem with the FPO field right now, is there's just not enough parity in the field. It feels like it's either Kristen's winning it or she's allowing someone else to win. Now, I know that Missy Gannon and Owen Scoggins didn't play this weekend, so they're always a threat to win. But it seems like outside of that, it's really whether or not Kristen Tatar is going to win it. And after that, it really doesn't matter because it's such a gap in the scores. And then heading on down from that, Hannah Blomroos shot really good on days 2 and 3 after a bad opening round to come out in third place. She shot even. Ella Hansen was on that lead card as well on the last day. She shot 4 over for the tournament, with day 3 being her worst one, a 70. Same thing, Haley King had a 70 on her last day, 4 over. Coming in tied for 6th place, Evelina Solonen and Kat Murch. We'll round out the top 10 here. Katrina Allen coming in at 8th. 6 over par. Silva Saarinen, who was on lead card, she just had a really bad final round. She shot a 63, a 69, and then a 76. I do believe that the win was the worst on day 3, so that probably comes into play. She's an MVP player, so it was exciting to see someone, from my perspective, from the MVP side of things on there. And then rounding out your top 10, Rebecca Cox. Same thing, 68, 69, 72. Day 3 was definitely the worst. I don't know what Kristen Tatar has to do to get 1,000 rating, like 999. What she shoots 13 under par, 999 just doesn't seem accurate. I'm not a huge fan of the rating system. I can't say that I greatly grasp the concept behind it, but I don't know. Let's move on over to MPO real quick and talk about the results there. So FPO, Kristen Tatar won last year, and then she won this year. And then, like I was saying earlier, last year, Simon Lizotte, this was his first win since coming over to MVP on the Pro Tour. And this year, he also repeated as a winner. So I think it's the first time since either 2019 or 2020 that the repeating FPO and MPO winners from the previous season won the same event together on the follow-up season. So that was pretty interesting to see. Some really good names out there. So again, let's go over kind of your top 10 to maybe 15, depending on what we see here. But Simon Lizotte shoots a 1037 tournament rating, 30 under par. He was just in control of things from day one, hitting putts from super deep in circle 2 to even a little bit outside of it around that 70-foot range. But he shot a 55 in round 1, 59 in round 2, and a 57 in round 3. So averaging a 57 on the weekend. Not bad at all. Here's another name you may have heard of, Paul McBeth, coming in second place. He was looking a little bit more like the Paul of old, which was nice to see. A lot of people have written Paul off. I'm not really sure why. I know that, last season he did the Euro swing and then he had to come out early due to injury. But it's not like it was that long ago that he was still winning world championships. I mean, he won the 2022 world championship. So it was nice to see Paul in there. And then speaking of a flash from the past, and again, I don't understand why we feel that way, because Ricky Wysocki's almost always, in the conversation. I think it's just because they're not absolutely dominating every single tournament. And that's just to speak to the rest of the field coming up in talent. But Ricky Wysocki comes out in third place, shoots 23 under par for the tournament. He made kind of a run. Actually, he's pretty consistent looking at his scores, 59, 60, and 59 over the 3-day tournament. Chris Dickerson, who is from Tennessee and has won many of the Tennessee tournaments, comes out in fourth place, 23 under par. I'm sorry, third place. He's tied with Ricky Wysocki at 23 under par. Again, 59, 59, 60. So pretty consistent. Jeremy Colling was nice to see out there. He hit a really long putt on 18 on day 3 to finish out his tournament. I mean, super long. May have even been outside of circle 2. But he was playing pretty good. And then tied with him in fifth place as well, Nicolas Antala. Both of them 22 under par. Now, this is the first time Anthony Barella has finished outside the top 4 this season on the Pro Tour, but he's still tied in 7th place along with Silas Schultz and Ty Love and Gannon Burr. So Gannon Burr and Anthony Barella, kind of the two that we're watching this year, right? They seem like they're the most consistent. I was even saying to Ross, going into day 3, when you had Paul McBeth and Gannon Burr on that card with Simon Lizotte, the one I was most concerned about was Gannon Burr. He missed a couple putts and seemed frustrated with the basket. From my perspective, they just looked like they were missed putts, but he's the pro, I'm not. But I think that really was the difference for him. He shot a 60, then a 56 in round 2. Really nice round in round 2. That may have actually been the hot round. Can we sort this? Yeah. Jeremy Colling and Gannon Burr both shot a 56 on day 2 for their hot rounds. So good all around. And then that rounds out your top 10. But in 11th place, Joel Freeman, Jake Hebenheimer, both tied for 11th. So all in all, it was a very good weekend. It was a lot of good disc golf to watch. I loved watching. Like I said, I'm a little bit of a fanboy. And not so much even from the MVP side of things. I was already an MVP fan, and I was already a Simon fan. And then when Simon came over to MVP, it was just like, well, that's convenient for people like me that already like both of them. Because Simon Lizotte was one of the first disc golfers that I really got to listening to and watching. Obviously on YouTube, I started following him on YouTube because I saw some of his videos. The thing that made me start watching him, I want to say it had to be 2022, because I didn't start watching until late 2021. But I was watching some tournament. I want to say it may have been Emporia. Whatever it was, I saw him mention something about how, the courses need a little bit of rework to where it's just not people throwing bombs, and some of his comments on things that can make the sport more attractive to the common person. And at the time, I was just starting to really get into disc golf. So that really spoke to me and why I started liking him. And then obviously he's just seems like an all-around nice guy, a great disc golfer. The thing I like most about his play style is that the dude can obviously crush. I mean, he comes from, along with Eagle McMahon, the Crush Boys, right? But he doesn't seem like he tries to throw very hard, which is very interesting to me. That it seems like he gets the most out of the least amount of effort, at least in your big names. Speaking of the way things look from disc golfers on their form or the way that they throw, the way that they play. Paul Oman was a pleasure to watch over the weekend as well. One of the old school disc golfers. Really cool to see him out there and his unique play style. It was fun to watch him. He was doing pretty good on day 2 as well, but just towards the end of the round, like hole 15 and on. Yeah, see, he shot a 59 on day 1, which was really nice, and then a 63 and a 67. Day 2 was actually looking good for him. But like I said, somewhere around like hole 15 or so. Yeah, so 18, 17, 16, 15, yeah. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 birdies and 1 bogey through 14. And then he goes, was that bogey? Yeah, bogey, bogey, bogey. Just 3 bogeys in a row and a par to finish out that round. Otherwise, even if he would have just parred that out, he would have came out at a 60 and probably been on either lead card or chase card for the final day of the round. But at any rate, it was fun to watch him. It's really nice to see some of these. I mean, there's a ton of names in here that are being pretty consistent in the year, that they're on the top half of the scorecard. No James Conrad sighting. I don't think he played, did he? Yeah, he did. 68, 64, and 66. So not the best rounds from him, but in the red. But look at this compared to FPO. So where FPO had your first and second place players, keeping in mind that they generally play what would be considered an easier layout, only your top 2 players are under par, compared to your MPO, where you have to drop all the way down to 75th place before you get to someone that's even. I mean, we can probably look through here and find some names that aren't that common without having to go to the Europeans. Obviously, Tomas here, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm not going to say that, that's a player that's not known because they're a European player, but like Freddie Meza, never heard of Freddie Meza, and he shot 5 under. Kevin Kiefer's here. I know Kevin. Most of these names I at least have heard of if they're not on the European side of things. It seems like Aiden Scott sounds familiar, but I couldn't say I would necessarily know that name. But at any rate, obviously the MPO field is much more difficult to win in. All right, and then not related to the scores, but related to the tournament. Woke up Saturday morning and got together with Ross, and we decided we were going to go play Westbrook Clayton, which is on the northwest side of Dayton, Ohio. It's a course I've only been able to play maybe like 6 or so times in the few years that I've been playing. It's a fun course. We always start off on hole number 3 there because hole number 1 and 2, and I'll get to the point of how this ties to the Music City Open in a moment, but I like talking about the course because I don't get to play there very often. But yeah, we started on 3 just because it's a better starting hole, get a few warm-up shots in and going. It looks like we hopped out there right in front of a league, which was nice, and we always play that first set of holes, which are on the open side of the course, because there's like, I don't know, 6 holes, I think, that are not technically in the woods, and then the rest of the course is kind of hilly and wooded. And I was playing pretty good on the open part of it, and I almost even told Ross, I was about to say, it was just me, him, and his youngest son, and I almost told him, I was like, man, I really like Westbrook. I wish we'd play here more often, even though it's a little bit out of the way. And then we got into the woods, and it just, I had the first 3 wooded holes just chewed me alive. I was in trouble left and right. I went 5, 5, and 5, which I believe was a double, single, and double bogey. I pulled it back together after that and played, basically some par golf for a few holes, and then closed out with some nice birdies. Even the last hole, which is hole 2 there, it's an uphill shot. I have this new. So lately, this blue synapse, if you're watching along, has been my baby. I showed it in one of the videos I did about a month ago or so. I got this used at Hazy Shade, and it's just been like my go-to driver. But I was there with Ross not too long ago, a couple weeks ago maybe, and I saw this blue and pink cotton candy synapse, which is in the Aura plastic, which is equivalent to MVP's Neutron if you're more familiar with the MVP side of things. But you can see I got an X on there now because I hit the basket on hole number 2 off the drive, and just threw a really nice straight shot right up the right side of the gap, and it started fading really hard and skipped off the ground and hit the top part of the actual basket. So an inch or two higher probably would have been a nice skip ace. Would have been nice to have. But anyways, when I hopped into the car to drive out there, I figured, I would throw, it was like 10:15 in the morning or something like that. I figured I would throw on the Disc Golf Network and kind of watch or listen to the FPO while I'm driving out there, and then I would catch up on the rest after our round. And the first thing I saw was the announcement that the Music City Open had been suspended due to a threat that took place towards the event. And that was kind of all there was said about it. Just they immediately shut off the broadcast after that. So I wasn't able to find out any confirmed details about it. Now, I've seen people posting left and right all over Facebook about the reason that the threat was, and it involving Natalie Ryan. And I think I speak for most people when I say that regardless of where you fall on that topic of whether or not someone should be playing in the FPO field, obviously resorting to threatening anyone over a game or over a sport is a step too far. It would be a disservice to your entire argument, in my opinion, if you were to make some sort of threat, because then that just gives ammunition to the people that you don't agree with, saying, I don't want to go into too many details on this. Obviously, moral of the story is, shouldn't be threatening people, regardless of any circumstance I can think of. Not that I should be telling people to do myself, but I don't know. It's a nasty situation. The only reason why I lend any credit to the fact that may have been what was involved in that threat, it could be completely something different. I wasn't able to confirm any of this. Someone else had posted a picture where a Nashville officer was hanging out around the chase card, which Natalie was on. So if it is related to that, that's very unfortunate, and who knows, I wish it was easier to find out some details about some of this stuff, because I would like to share them here, because I'm sure a lot of you that listen in are in the same boat as me. Like, you don't want the hearsay, you want to know what actually happened and be able to, formulate your own opinion based off of the facts, and it's kind of hard to do that sometimes. So I'm trying to find more reliable resources where I can talk about this, but with me trying to do this the day after the tournament closes, it's generally, it generally takes a few days before you can actually get the truth come out on what happened. So next week when I do the podcast, if I do find out more details in the meantime, I will update you all on that. Okay, but outside of that, for me, what's going on in the world of Discsmith Disc Golf, if I can say that, let's show the screen here. I've been trying to think about, my schedule and when I try to post things, because I try to do this podcast every Monday, and then I like to do 2 videos a week, and I've tried to do that on Wednesday and Friday. That kind of got scrambled up with the Putter Madness stuff. Due to the way that we filmed that, I kind of pushed some of those out because I had them. They were too late for me to get out on Wednesday and Friday, but I didn't want to wait until the following Wednesday and Friday so I could post them Thursday and Saturday or something like that. Anyways, what I'm trying to get to here is the schedule I'm going to try to get to is doing the podcast on Mondays, and then on Wednesday doing a short format video, something that falls in the range of a 5 to greater than 5, less than 15 minute type video, something that you can watch kind of quickly if you're on your lunch break or something like that. And then reserving Friday for my long format videos. So with that being said, Wednesday's coming up. I don't have anything recorded for that yet, but I do have a few ideas that were given to me. So we'll see what happens with that. But I do want to talk about on something I'm going to try to get done by Friday. So a few months ago, back at the end of January, I went to Wright State University and I walked the course with my camera and I filmed every single hole. And then I had been waiting to post a video. Let me backtrack just a little bit. When I first decided to do this channel at all, one of the main reasons I wanted to do it was I wanted to do course layout videos, to where if you're someone that maybe doesn't play the courses very often, or if you're from out of town, or for whatever reason you would like to see, if I wanted to go to Wright State University, what could I expect without you having to go there and figure it out firsthand, because it may save you a trip if it's not your type of course. So that was one of the main types of videos I wanted to do on the channel. So back in January, I went to Wright State. It's my home course, as I've mentioned. And I wanted to record the course layout for that. And then there's no course maps there. So I figured, well, that'd be a good opportunity for me to make course maps myself, because I kind of did that last year on my other, I have a different YouTube channel that's not disc golf related. But last summer when I was practicing for our tournament, for Ross and I's double tournament, I went out to Fairborn and, I recorded myself playing there. And then I went home and I redrew the course maps from Fairborn as well. So I figured for these videos, when I do them, even if the course does have maps, unless the high resolution ones are available, I'll make my own and kind of do this artwork for them. So on the screen here, if you're following along, God, I talk. You put a camera in my face or a microphone in my face, I'll just yap, 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 yap with no directive. But yeah, so I went, that's what had delayed me from January 27th is when I filmed the course layout originally. And then I'd been working on trying to get these maps like perfect, the best that I can. So they are done. I went ahead and published them on the groups local to the Dayton, Ohio area. If you're on those disc golf groups, you should have seen those. If not, they're on there. But they're on the screen right now as well, or at least the big map that has all the holes on it is. And I'll kind of go through these real quickly. So I went out and refilmed yesterday the walkthrough again. And I might have to do it one third and final time. So the first one didn't have any commentary on it, and I was originally just going to sit here and do voiceovers or use like an AI generated voiceover to do my script. I've already written a script for it. But let me know down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or you can always send me an email if you have thoughts on it. I felt like I liked the AI voice during the Putter Madness because it fit the video well. It sounded like that sportscaster type voice. Just doing it just to not have to do it myself for this video seems not authentic. And then I don't have the greatest voiceover anyway. So the reason I went out yesterday and I re-recorded it was so that I could just, talk about the whole live as I walk through it. That seemed like a more natural fit, and I kind of like that. The problem with it is I waited until after the MPO had just finished. So it was like 8 p.m. almost. And the sun was just setting right into the camera on some of the holes, and I don't like that. So I might go out there one more time and re-record that. But all that to say, this video should be coming out on Friday. I should be able to tackle it and get it done by this Friday, so it'll be my first full course layout. Let's go real quick through here. But these are the pictures that you'll see on the video. I did it for all 18 holes from the short tee pad layout. So take note of that. If there's a request for it, I may end up doing the long tee pads as well, but just to kind of cut my teeth, I wanted to do the short layouts. And these are just some of the maps that I did here. So I did this a pretty standard way. I took the satellite photos of the hole and just overlaid that on Photoshop, and then put in the assets and drew everything in manually. And obviously it's not to scale. The tee pads aren't as big as you see here. All the objects like the tee pads and the disc golf basket and everything like that, they're more enlarged, so it makes more sense where they are from a reference perspective. But yeah, we got all 18 holes done here, and you're going to see hole 12 get skipped because I had to make an update to it. It'll be at the end. I had to do one little update to it. I was missing some trees over here along the power plant, and I was missing the fallen tree stump that was on there. But that's it. I'm excited for that. Like I said, I don't have any plans for exactly what video I'm going to do Wednesday, but it'll be a short format video, and maybe so that's when I say short format, it's probably gonna be something where I go out and play like 7-9 holes with like a single disc or a challenge or whatever it may be. So with that being said, if you have anything that you would like to see, anything you'd like to hear discussed or talked about, always feel free to send it to me. Told you today's podcast was going to be a little bit short, and it looks like we're going to be pulling over actually only around 25 minutes. So that'll be awesome. It'll actually be a short one for once. But last item before we go, looking forward on the pro scene. Next weekend should be the first major that involves the MPO. So let's just double check that super quickly here. I wish they would change this website to have like the most recent at the top instead of the bottom. It's kind of annoying. What are we going into? This could be the 24th. Star dynamic. It's the dynamic disc, isn't it? It's Pro-Am. So wish it was easier to. Don't need to see all these different tournaments. Champions Cup, that's what it is. Which isn't that in Peoria? Morton, Illinois. All right, so Champions Cup is coming up. That'll be exciting. Should be a 5-day event if it's a major, right? So starting on Wednesday, we'll be able to see some disc golf, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If I'm not mistaken, they will start playing on Wednesday. So that'll be exciting. Obviously, that's going to be a long event. So we'll talk about that on the podcast next week. We'll go over all the scores and everything, and that's really it. I'm not going to keep dragging you along just to try to hit a certain timestamp like it seems like I'm doing. So as always, I appreciate whenever joining around, and we'll see you next week.